Rakesh?
Yeah. Good evening and warm welcome to all our respected members, past chairperson and our sponsor. We have witnessed two great events back to back. Firstly, our annual conference, and we are thankful to all our members for their participation. Secondly, we witnessed the best FIFA World Cup happened in Qatar. I'm sure we all are feeling what next. So here tonight, we are coming with another knowledgeable session, which is on design thinking workshop and will be conducted by our chapter member, CA Singaraju. This workshop is going to be highly engageable. Therefore, we request everyone to follow certain do's and don'ts. All participants are requested to mute their videos and audio. Questions to the speaker to be typed in the chat box only and will be answered at the end of the session. Further question, if any, will be taken offline. We request all DCICI members to type or rename their login as their full name as per ICI record followed by their membership number. Doha chapter members are entitled for structure 2 hours CPE. Without taking much time, I would like to call upon our chapter chairperson, who is multi-talented, always engaged in sharing knowledge, and recently participated in the VOCA 2022 in India as one of the panelists representing our Doha chapter. With great round of applause, we invite CA Ankit Agarwal.
Thank you so much, CA Rakesh. Good evening, everyone. I hope you and your family have enjoyed the biggest sporting tournament of the world, FIFA 2022, which was hosted by Qatar. On behalf of Doha chapter of ICI, we would like to give our sincere gratitude and thanks to His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Emir of Qatar, for giving us the opportunity to be the part of the biggest sporting tournament of the world, FIFA 2022. Now moving towards the session for the evening, an interactive and unique workshop on design thinking. Design thinking is a process for solving problems by prioritizing the consumer needs above all else. It relies on observing with empathy how people interact with their environment and employs an interactive, hands-on approach to create an innovative solutions. To know more about the workshop and the speaker for the evening, I would like to now hand over this virtual forum to CA Devki Nandan Tibrewal to take it further proceeding. Over to you, CA Devki.
Thank you, Ankit. A very warm good evening to all the members. So it's now time to invite the speaker of today's night, none other than our CA member, Singaraju. But before I introduce him, I just like to say some few words. Because I never seen, because he belongs to Toastmaster fraternity. And when I got his introduction, I never saw this kind of introduction being introduced in any of the Toastmaster meeting about him. So this is that, new introduction which we are going to witness in today's introduction of him. So in today's introduction of our speaker, he is professional speaker who is currently coaching and mentoring people from 6 different countries. More than a decade back, took up the role as CFO for a greenfield project and key player in transforming the company to turnover of over $1 billion Qatari riyal with a span of 6 years. That was only possible by design thinking. His motto in life is to play every game with a ball in it and make positive difference to life of others. So, dear members, I don't want to take much of time because Singaraju will kill me that Devki, stop my introduction and give me the dice, hand over to me. So now it's time to, dice, and I am handing over to Toastmaster Singaraju or our CA Singaraju. Over to you, Singaraju. All the best.
Thank you very much, Devki. Thank you for the introduction. And it's always, I'd like to, first of all, before starting the session, thank the ExCom of CA, ICA, Doha chapter for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge. Now, this is not going to be a classroom sort of thing. but it's going to be interactive. So type in the messages on the chat box, and at the end, we'll have a Q&A. Now, I want to ask you, how many of you actually heard about the 2% philosophy? Only 2% actually achieve their goals. Only 2% are successful. Only 2% are fully content with whatever they have. Why do you think it's so? The main reason why we are not able to achieve our goals is not due to obstacles. It's just that our tendency to do things which are easy and leave the difficult ones aside. That is the main reason why we are not able to achieve our full potential. Now, I would like to start with a quote which was actually said by Steve Maraboli. He said, "Life is simple. It's just not easy." I repeat, life is simple. It's just not easy. I think many of you can correlate that with your experience. Now, you might be asking me, people started calling me and said, "What is it? Are you going to talk about processes?" I said, "No." "Are you talking about debit credit?" "No." "Then what is it about?" I said, "Attend the session, you'll know about it." Now, this is something which is relevant to every one of us. Every one of us. Just to give you a preview, design thinking is something which is really, you have professionals. When you in a company cannot solve a problem, that's when you give it to a design thinker. That's when he steps in and gives you a solution which will result in better results. Now, today, this is actually a 20-hour session, but I'm trying to compress it and make it to just the stipulated time which has been given. And I would like you to interact, participate, because this is for your own benefit. Now, someone don't think I'm a housewife. I got nothing to do with design thinking. No, I'm someone in the junior accountant position. What has design thinking got to me? No, it's applicable for each one of us. I would like you to sit back, relax, but I want your 100% participation. If you want to gain the benefit, now this is something, it's not a theory or something, it's more practical oriented. I will be provoking you. I'll be teasing you. It depends on how you react. So it's an open session. So guys, let's have some fun. And now, what is design thinking? Okay, I will share my presentation. Yeah, can everyone see it?
It's still coming. Yeah.
Okay. What's design thinking? Design thinking comes from Latin. It says design plus thinking. Now, design, it actually means how do you ponder about something, you consider, mark the touch points, and take action. That's it, simple. So it's basically action plus mindset. That's design thinking for you. Now, there are several books on design thinking, but trust me, you go through it, you will get lost. So, but I try to simplify it in simple, practical terms where we'll get. So what happens is that try to understand the principle behind it, and at least you get 25% of the concepts, what we talk about here. Trust me, it's going to make a big positive difference in your life. Now, before starting design thinking, I would like you, let's do an audit. Okay, if you have, now I have some questions. I would like you to answer yes or no. And then let's see how each one of you do. Okay, the first one. I can step into the shoes of my customers, yes or no. So just, count the number of S's you get in the various questions. Even if you don't have a pen, paper, no issue. I have empathy on users and stakeholders. like to change status quo rebelliously. Even if my boss says something, if I'm not in agreement, are you going to convey your viewpoint to him? Ability to ask the right questions, even to my boss. Yes, so there are two SSO here and no. So you can check where you score over there. And like to collaborate in multidisciplinary meetings instead of working in silos. Look at the big picture and think in a holistic way. Look at the, have an eagle's eye view of things. Generate new ideas and not afraid to share. So generally what happens is most of the time we find that people are, people tend to keep to themselves because they want to be indispensable to the organization. Now, find and reiterate the alternatives to approach the desired goal. Are you someone who actually thinks outside the box and challenge them that, okay, let's do it this way, not this way, just because someone has said it. Willing to fail early and often. Okay, now you can put your scores on the, chat box. How many of you got, how many S's you have got? There are actually 10, out of which you can put, just type in your scores. Fantastic, fantastic, excellent. Now, those of you who scored from 8 to 10, you already have the design thinking process in your mind. And those of you who scored less than 8, you still need to further concentrate on this so that you acquire the skills of a design thinker. Excellent. So this is just to know where you stand on the scale. Now, there's something called the Tradesman, where there's something to, because before we go into design thinking, there are certain things which we have to follow and certain things which we don't need to follow, okay? So the first one is think. You always have to think before doing anything. Now, Einstein, if he has an hour to do a problem, he actually thinks for 55 minutes, and the last 5 minutes will be the action. So more often than not, we actually tend to have a knee-jerk reaction where we just jump into it and then solve the problems as they come by. So what we need to do, we need to understand and put the user's needs above everything. Now, what distinguishes a design thinking from a normal situation? In normal situation, there's a problem, and then we try to solve it. But in design thinking, even before we go into the problem, we try to understand the user needs. Now, what are the traits to be followed? We need to have empathy on users and stakeholders. That's very important because we have to empathize with them. Now, can someone help me with the answer for this? Traits to avoid? Come on, quickly type in the chat box. Okay. Okay, jump on the solution directly, yes. You think that you know best about your customer needs. That is the thing. Don't have assumptions. Don't have assumptions, about have an open mind. Don't think you know everything about the customer. So that's what distinguishes design thinking. Now, generally what happens is we actually have 4 types of bias. Okay, can someone guess what those bias would be before we think or we do something? There are 4 different types of bias which we have. What it could be, can someone tell me? Yeah, just make a guesswork, it's not, yeah, I know it. Okay. I know rather that you know it. Okay, next. Come on, type in whatever comes to your mind. Don't give too much thought to it. what's new here. That's actually a good quality to have. That's not a bias, because if you will not have what's new here, then you don't have any bias. Confirmation bias, okay. One more answer. Bias about a person, right? Stereotype is, okay, there are 4 types of bias. The first bias is, it's called the anchor bias, which means when you get an idea, you're stuck with it. And come what may, you're stubborn on that. The second one is expertise bias. Expertise bias means that, oh, I'm a chartered accountant. I know everything. You don't tell me what I need to do. We are biased with our knowledge and all that. The third one is compare and contrast bias, which means that when a problem comes in, we try to compare with something which we have done earlier and then get stuck to it. And the fourth one is atomicity bias, which means that without our knowledge, we tend to do some things. Now, are we applying that knowledge to another one? So these are generally the bias we should, a design thinker generally should try to avoid. Now ask, what do you do when you ask? How do you find out, that what are the customer needs? How do you find out? Can someone tell me? Okay, if you find difficulty typing, just unmute yourself and shout out. We are here to have fun and learn at the same time. Guys, come on. By exploring through discussions, dialogues and discussions, okay, think in customer's view. But ask, see, we don't know the problem. We want to ask. So what do? You ask questions to uncover the issues. I will come to it later about how to know about the customer needs and things like that, and then challenge the status quo rebelliously. So don't take things for granted. Don't assume things that, yeah, this is the only way it needs to be done. If you think about it, there'll be 1,000 other ways in which it could be done. And what do you do to avoid the thing? Follow the management decision. Okay, this is my mandate, and that's what. No, challenge the mandate. Challenge the mandate. Remember, in life, it's not what laurels you gain, but how you make things happen in an organization depends upon you. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen, that how you have, there's an immense power within you, how you would exercise it for the betterment of the organization. Express. What you need to do to express your ideas? You have to play to your strengths in conveying your ideas to your audience. For example, I like our chapter chairman, he is good in painting and all that. So he can actually draw pictures to convey his ideas. He has to use his strengths to his advantage. And what are the traits to follow? You collaborate and express as per your strengths. And what to avoid? Worry or be conscious of people criticism. Don't think about ifs and buts. Just collaborate with them and express in a way ideas clearly, which is important. Then feel. Explore to solve the problem with innovative ideas. Think holistically and generate new ideas and share with them. Now, what are the things to be avoided? Stop with one idea and think that you know the best. I must admit that I myself are also guilty in many situations that whatever first thing comes, I get stuck to it. So this is what is something. Now, after that, you need to act. So get all the tangible ideas for prototyping and testing. We'll come to it in detail. Now, what are the traits to follow? Willing to fail early and reiterate. And launch a solution only after perfection. Don't think that you need to be perfect or something, but you also have to be ensure that you don't fear for failure. Now, we spoke about the customer needs, right? How do you know your customer needs? Can someone tell me? How do you know about your customer needs or requirements? We will meet your expectations. But do you know what its expectations are? We think we know, but reality is something totally different. So can someone tell me, how do you know that what your customer expectations are? Okay, even before that, how many of you have, can you type in the chat box? How many of you deal with customers on daily basis? Yes or no? Just type Y or N. Type in. How many of you deal with customers on daily basis? Okay. Okay. Now, I've seen many S's, which is great, and some no's, but let me tell you something. Okay, some people are talking about internal customers, external customers, but let me tell you one thing. Every person you deal with in life is your customer. Even your wife is your customer as you're a customer for your wife. Remember that. Every person we interact with is a customer. Don't think that, okay, I don't deal with customers. No, we are a social animal. Everyone is our customer. So keeping this in mind, how do you think that you would know the customers? By listening to them, okay? But by listening to them, they will tell you what they feel at that point of time. But do you think that you really know the inherent needs of the customer? By putting ourselves, okay, empathy. What else? Any other ways? Ask and observe, okay? Okay. Now, every customer had some explicit needs and implicit needs. Now, explicit needs are what people speak about it, people express themselves, and you listen to them. Those are, it just accounts to only about 5%. But remember, 95% are, what are the feelings? What are the emotions? What are the dreams? What are the hopes? Those are implicit needs. And you can only know that by asking them smart questions. We will come to it at a later stage, but this is just we are laying the foundation for design thinking. So it's very important, remember that by asking the right questions, you know the real needs of a customer. Now, empathize. How do you empathize with your customer? Can someone tell me? How do you empathize? Guys, this is supposed to be an interactive session, so I would like you to be active on your, or you can just unmute and speak also. Yeah, by taking feedback from them time to time, okay? By fulfilling the requirements. Empathize, I said empathize. If suppose Devki is my customer, how do I empathize with him? Empathize, this is the first step. How do I know what Deviki's real problem is about? I have to meet him. I cannot sit in my glass chamber and then think that I can empathize with Deviki who's sitting somewhere else in other part of Doha. So the first point is you have to meet them, and then ask questions. As I said, to know the inherent implicit needs of the customer, you need to ask questions, the right questions. And you need to listen. That's very important. The next one, this is called the Japanese philosophy. You cannot sit in your office here and think about what's going on outside in Doha. You actually need to get your hands dirty by being out there in the market. This is only empathize. So this is extremely important. You have to, before you go for any problem, you have to empathize. As the saying goes, don't be a cow by grazing on the surface. Be a horse by plucking right from the roots. Okay, so it's very important to empathize. Now, okay, there is a problem somewhere. Okay, you have to observe. What do you observe for? What do you observe? There is a problem. Now, you are there to observe. Sandeep, how can you talk about the root cause? I'm actually talking about the action of observe. Observe. Now, observe means you can do it in a covert way, or the person knows that you're observing, or you can do it in a, like he doesn't know that you're actually observing him. Observe. So what you have to do is see if there's any confusion going around. See if there's any confusion going around. And then if the person is overexertion, if he's overexerting on something, and what are the pain points? What are the pain points that the customer is actually experiencing? And any appropriation? Now, this appropriation is not the appropriation entries we post in our books of accounts. This appropriation is, like, for example, I've been to visit a factory and I've seen that they were using tools to use as a stop blockers, for some equipment. So that is appropriation. Using the thing for something which it's not intended for, that is appropriation. And generally, if you notice, people generally tend, if there's a steps 1 to 5, and 5 is something I'm not comfortable with, I will try to overrun it. So skipping steps. So that's, look for this when you observe. Now, visualization. Once you had an empathy with the customer, you went and observed, then it's a time for visualization. Now, when your visualization, don't make it, keep it simple as possible, and then break the problems into components. It's called the chunking. Actually break it down into individual components, small parts, and then work on it and think in terms of metaphors. And because what happens is, by this way you can communicate clearly your thoughts to the customer, and use pictures. It's extremely important. And tell stories. So this is how you do the visualization. Now, let's look at the preparatory cycle. Preparatory cycle, before you go for designing thinking, there's certain background work to be done. What is the first one? You have to understand the problem, right? You have to understand what the actual problem is. And then you observe what we have already discussed. Then you visualize. You visualize about it, and then you evaluate and optimize. So these are the 4 important steps before you go into design thinking. Now, suppose I tell you that draw a picture where you want to make people aware of COVID situation. What would you do? Just to speak about visualization, you want to convey to them, guys, do this. You can avoid COVID. This is something which could be done. By looking at the pictures, you don't need to say anything. People will understand that we should stay away from crowded places. Right? You want to catch COVID? This is a place you actually need to go. Now, the mindset for design thinking. You need to have, as we said, design plus thinking. In that, you remember the mindset. What do? People-centric. This is what makes design thinking unique. It is actually people-centric. People plays an important role. Now, if I want to solve a problem, it's important that I need to understand, which we will come to it at a later stage. I need to understand about the people. It's all about dealing with the emotions and ethnography, which I'll come to it later, people-centric. And then cross-disciplinary and collaborative. Don't say, I'm a chartered accountant, my thing is only finance. No, you have to collaborate with people because as a team we succeed, and as a team, we know what we need to do to improve. So you achieve as a team. So cross-disciplinary and collaborative is extremely important. No one can succeed just by their own individual. No one is a Superman. Even if you get a Superman into problematic, he cannot solve it. Unless you get the buy-in from the people, it's extremely difficult. Now, you need to have an eagle's eye view of things. Holistic approach is very important. The mindset of a design. He will not think in silos. He will look at the whole global thing. And a growth mindset. Now, can someone tell me what's a growth mindset? Can someone type in the chat box or unmute yourself and say, what's a growth mindset in your view?
Something improve in the current state.
Okay, thank you. Next.
You're looking for a long-term vision rather than a short-term being a short-term oriented goal.
Okay, then again, you need to define what is a short term and what's a long term. A growth mindset. Okay, someone said striving for continuous improvement.
A growth mindset would be in opposite to having a fixed mindset. Now, you have a certain assumption that you can only achieve this much in life. But if you have a growth mindset, you can see that incrementally over time with your efforts, you can improve and you can achieve something better.
Right, right. So now if we tell you that, okay, do you have a growth mindset? Okay. And then what would you like? Imagine you're agreeing with, you're talking to a layman. He comes and tells you that, okay, I want to have a growth mindset. What do I need to do? What would be your advice to him? Eagerness to learn, okay. Friends, the answer is very simple. Never being afraid to fail. That is a growth mindset. You're not afraid to fail at all. You think about it and you just go at it. So that's what a growth mindset is all about. Communication skills, extremely important. You know, there's a famous saying which I would like to share with all of you. They say, never believe what you hear and believe only 50% of what you see. So much truth in that, right? So communication skills is extremely important. How you communicate your ideas, as we said, you know, those pictures, the stories, and how you communicate. Because if you cannot communicate, the whole process of design thinking is not, and comfort with the ambiguity. Now, all of you are very good positions. You put in hard works of life, you work very hard, put in a lot of efforts and came to a position which you are there now. Now, if I ask you a simple question, where do I see you in 5 years' time? Do you have an answer? Just type in yes, no, who, yeah, Y or N. Okay. Okay, I want to see answers flowing in. Excellent, excellent. Guys, those of you who mentioned yes, you are already a design thinker yourself. Because the important qualities of a design thinker is he is comfortable with ambiguity. He looks at ambiguity not as a problem, but as an opportunity to grow and be better. Excellent. I'm so honored to be addressing our audience, who are so comfortable with ambiguity. I must tell you that I must acknowledge that you guys are the rare species which is dwindling in numbers by the day. Okay, now we talk about the action plan. What you need to do for the action plan, as we have said earlier, we need to think, we need to ask, we need to express, we need to feel, and we need to act upon it. Okay? Now, can someone tell me, like, in terms of our customers, yeah, remember, customers means not your actual, it could be an actual customers or it could be anyone other than yourself is a customer. Now, when you're addressing to his needs, it's very important to find out, right, what are the triggers which makes him really happy, which makes him contented, right? So let's look at some of the features which is, every customer would inherent needs: health, safety, status, prestige, wealth. Of course, everyone wants to be wealthy. And then status, prestige. And people, they like being liked, right? So that's why someone said earlier that being positive, yes, it's extremely important. When you're with customers, even if it says something which you don't like, but still keep a smile on your face. Don't show your frustration to him, because people like to be liked by everyone. And then security is also important. Now, we have seen during COVID times how security played such a very important role. And then self-actualization. That's very important, but people like to boost their self-esteem, and then praise and recognition. They want to be praised and they want to be recognized. So whenever you see someone achieve something, don't have second thoughts about praising them or giving them the recognition they deserve. Love and companionship, knowledge. This is a very important point, knowledge. People like, you have to share the knowledge with people, and everyone has the keen desire to learn, and power and popularity. So these are the user inherent needs. So next time you meet your customer, ask yourself, am I taking care of these for my customer? Think about it. It will change your thought process completely. Now, this is the most important thing in design thinking. The very important, there are 5 phases in design thinking. The first one is empathy, which we discussed about it earlier, right? What you do, you create personas. We will come to it at a later stage, what personas is all about. And then you have an empathy map, user feedback, and problem statement. The problem statement has to be defined, Now, in the empathy phase, there's another stage also, which is called as the defined phase. Defined phase, where you actually need to have a design brief of what the issue is all about. So once you empathize with the customer, you know what his needs are, then you move to defining what the actual issue is. You have a context map, you have an opportunity map, and then you have the customer journey. Now, what is a customer journey? You will be doing it for me. Okay, the customer journey right from the starting to the end. But most importantly, I would like everyone participation. You will be mapping the customer journey for me. Then the third one is ideate, where you actually do a brainstorming and then you conceptualize it, you have an affinity map, and then you do an evaluation. The next one is building a prototype. You can build a prototype, various phases are there. It could be physical, or it could be wireframe, where you have the broad guidelines, and then you have a storyboard. Conveyed by stories, what prototype you have built. And the fifth one is the test phase, where actually you take the user feedback, same thing as in the empathize phase. In the after prototype also, you take the user feedback And then you have something called the ethnography, which you do, and you again do an evaluation and iteration. So these are the 5 steps in design thinking. Now, we will be doing it in phases, and we will be talking about customer journey. Now, what do you know about your customer? So these are some key triggers which you need to find out. What do they think about you? What does the customer think about Raju as a person? That's extremely important. What they expect of you, expectations is also important. And what makes them feel good about buying? Why they should come to you? Why they can't go somewhere else? Are you creating that feel-good factor in your customers? Think about it. How they buy, what is their buying pattern? You know the ins and outs of the customer when they buy. And I can give you an example that, we actually, in one of my previous assignments, I was taking care of the supply chain. We used to do the reverse supply chain. Actually, we used to be in the customer premises and do the planning for them. So we know exactly what the customer needs much before he actually knows. So these are different ideas which you could think about. And what do they actually do and who they are? So these are important things we need to ask about our customers. The questions. Now, there are several questions, right, about the project or a problem. You remember the ask? We need to question to find out their inherent needs. Now, I would actually like to know from what would be the opening question. There are various opening, navigating, examining, experimenting. Because the paucity of time, I'll not go through everything in detail. But what would be your opening question? Can people start typing in the chat, or you can open and speak? What would be your opening question to the customer? What would be your opening question? Understanding his need or a problem is a statement, but what would be your opening question to the customer? Is the customer happy with it? No, but here you're in the first stage. You are, okay, greetings, introduction. This is all, what would be your opening question to the customer about the problem? Exactly. Thank you very much, Devaki. What is the problem? That is important. And yeah, then we have a navigating, examining question. So because the paucity of time, I would like to quickly run through because we have a case study also to do. So I will just quickly take you through opening questions. What is the problem we are trying to solve? That's, as Devaki said, what is the problem? First, the problem is very important. You need to question and don't waste your time in asking questions which are not relevant. Think, take time, understand, and then ask the smart questions to get to the root problem, to know about the implicit needs of the customer. Next, what are we looking at in the first place? These are all only the opening questions. What kind of things do we want to explore? We need to have the scope, right? So what are the things we are actually trying to explore? And what are the problem areas which are there in this? This is for the opening questions. So ensure that when you want to find out about the problem, these are the opening questions which you need to ask the customer. Now, navigating questions. Are we aligned on this? Just you take the feedback from the customer to find out whether we are aligned. And then are we on track? Are we on the right track? Is this useful? Did I understand this correctly? If you don't understand, reiterate again, once again, that, okay, is it, reiterate once again, just to ensure that we are on the right thing. And then, does anyone have any questions? It's always good to ask this to ensure that it's addressed properly. And then we have the examining questions, which is, can you give an example of the situation? How does it work? Sometimes it's better to act stupid, even if you know, but just there might be something that you will get it back. How does it work? How much of it are we selling? What if we did using a plan B? What happens after that? What percentage? Try to put some numbers, because because you cannot do an examining questions without having some numbers and objective in place. Experimenting questions. What if we did this using plan B? What else could we use this for? Yeah, because you might have several answers, several questions, but there might be some interlinkage between two different problems, right? We should try to establish that. What is missing over here? And how could we handle if you're operating it in a school? If you are giving it to a layman, how would we do it? What if we go wrong? What if scenarios should be taken into account when you're asking the experimenting questions? Yeah. Then we have the closing questions. This is, how can we prioritize these ideas? Yeah. What are the steps? Who is going to do what? What would be in the next 2 weeks? The timelines, and what other skill sets are required. So these are some things which you need to keep in mind before you actually talk to your customers and find out what the problems are. Now, there's another phase called the discovery phase, which is you need to get a greater idea about the customer insights, how much he knows, how much he doesn't know, and have an understanding of the customer, translate the quality, now data collection and synthesis, how the performance has been over a period of time, and then you have to transfer this data into a meaningful insight. So, did you notice something strange over here? You start with the customer insight and you end with the customer insight. Yeah. In between, you have the data collection and understanding the customer. Now, there are different maps. One is as I said, you have the empathy map, you have the opportunity map, the context map, and the customer journey map. Yeah. So these are the different things, which is, I will tell you something about the empathy map and the customer journey. Now, under empathy map, it's very important that what do? The first thing is you see, right? You see the thing, what's going on. Then what you hear, how you think and feel, and what you say and what you do, what you say and do. Because, sometimes it happens that the customer might say something, but inside he's thinking something else. Okay, just because X has come, I'm saying something, but actually he thinks and feels is something different. And what are the key pain areas that he has? And how do I transfer it into a gain area? Now, I'm going to show all of you a picture. This is actually a pawn shop, a small shop, which is near a school. Okay. Now, can someone tell me the empathy map for this? You want to write to the school authorities about the problem. Now, they're selling tobacco products and things like that in that shop, which is adjacent to. So what do you see? What do you think? What do you feel? What are your pain areas? Can someone unmute and tell me? Yeah, risk of bad habits. But I want you to, I will just go back to the empathy map. What do we see? What do we see in the picture? We see there's a pawn shop which is selling cigarettes. What do you hear? What do you hear? Okay, school is next to the shop. Yeah. So you hear that some people are getting attracted to smoking from the shop. So that's what you hear, right? And what do the people say and do? They are afraid that their children also will pick up that habit, right? And what are the pain areas that the children getting addicted to smoking? And what is the gain? You tell them that they should not sell anything in that shop, any tobacco related products, but actually probably have some snacks or something like that. Now, actually, we are paucity of time, otherwise we'd have done this exercise by dividing into groups. But next, I'm going to something very important. Friends, I want you to actually map a customer journey. I want you to map a customer journey. So I will, okay. Do you see the Slido here? Okay. This is a coffee shop, which is based in Bangalore. And right from the time the customer comes to the customer, he picks up his coffee, sits there, has it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give 10 minutes time, 10 minutes time, 15 minutes time, and you will be divided into 3 groups. Rakesh, is it okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
So I want you to name one person as a group leader who is going to present it to all of us. And I want you to map the customer journey right from the time he enters to the time he enjoys his coffee. Okay, I want one person from your each team to present, saying that what are the touch points and where he can enhance the customer service. Clear? If anyone has a doubt, ask right now. Okay, Rakesh, you can transfer them to the breakout rooms.
Okay.
So I repeat myself, what are the touch points where the customer service can be enhanced? Yeah, this is a coffee shop. And okay, Rakesh, go ahead. And I want you to interact and openly and discuss and come up with a solution. What are the key touch points where the customer experience can be enhanced?
Okay, done. 3 rooms created. So people have
Yeah.
been transferred to each room.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Rakesh. So we'll give them 10 minutes time, yeah?
I put 15 minutes. You want to change
Yeah,
to
okay.
10 minutes?
Yeah, make it 12 minutes.
Okay. Okay.
So please move to the breakout rooms. And I want your 100% participation. This program is for you. Rakesh, you can tell them that how to click on the thing to go to the breakout room.
There is an option will come.
Yeah, if you can just explain to them.
Like they will get in on their screen like, okay, accept.
So you will get an accept. So just accept that. Go into the breakout room.
But I see people are already
It's
there
not
in the
coming.
room.
It's not coming. It's not coming. I've checked. Nothing has come on the screen for acceptance. Just check, please.
But I see all the people are in room 1, 2, and 3, but on the screen also.
I can't see where the
Okay,
rooms are.
1
here.
minute, 1 minute.
No, we
Open all
can't see
rooms.
where it is.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
came now.
now-
It's
now
came
we got
Okay.
it. Room
Yeah,
number
you will get
yeah.
it now.
Rakesh can never go wrong.
I think it is taking time due to maybe due to network or something. But yeah, I think the people are moving in. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's important that unless they experience it, it's conceptually speaking is of no use. Yeah.
$34 more people are remaining. We request everyone to please be get into the breakout rooms when you see the pop-up window on the screen.
Rakesh, or can we give an option to them where they can go into any of the rooms?
I'm doing that because they have not
Yeah.
clicked the button, so I'm transferring them to the respective rooms.
Right. Thank you, Rakesh. Probably it could be that some people are not physically present, and then that could be the thing.
Could be.
Cooking,
I'm just transferring them to
cooking,
respective rooms.
eating. देख अभी कमलेश खाना खा के आया.
Sir, you came to know about the secret, so I had to show my presence.
So Rakesh, it is 12 minutes, no? You have assigned for the 12 minutes.
Yes. I have assigned 12 minutes, but now it's only 8 minutes
The
left.
clock is ticking. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. The clock is ticking. I'm just putting them one by one manually.
No, leave it. Those who are already there, they can discuss. Those who have not gone,
Yes, exactly.
let them leave it. Don't do that.
Okay.
And with Singaraju, you can visit the various rooms if that option is available, just to see how it is going. People are discussing. And
Yeah,
all.
I don't know. Like, how is there that option? Rakesh, you need to
Yes.
help me
You
out
can
on
you
this.
can click on the room and you can join.
Okay.
Then they will it will take you there, and then you can again, if you want to leave, you can just leave the room.
Leave breakout room and then come out. Then
Yeah, not
join
leave
other.
the meeting.
I think he has gone now. He has understood. So he'll be doing that. So he can, if he can guide them 2-3 minutes, because maybe people are sitting there in silence, not doing anything, waiting for some further instructions.
Rakesh, you might need to increase the timing. I think 7-8 minutes will be less, I guess.
Let me see
No,
when the
it's okay. It's
timer will
okay. Let
come.
Singaraju tell that. Otherwise, unnecessary. It will be too much. Okay. We don't know how much long his presentation is more. So.
Yeah, I visited all the 3 rooms, so people are discussing and they are really interactive in that.
Good.
I think the room 3 is they're very interactive with the pictures and all those things. So let's see how they come up with the idea.
I can go to breakout room number 2. Rakesh, I can go to breakout number 2.
Yeah, same way.
No, you have been assigned to room number 1.
Okay, 1 minute. I will send you to the room number 2.
Yeah. Thank you.
Rakesh, I was moved out of room number 1. Can you just shift me to room number 1 again, please?
Sure. There is only 2 minutes left, 2.5 minutes. So it will not be able to extend. So if you want to go in room number 3, I can transfer you there.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Rakesh. So Arun, how is the session so far?
It is good.
Yeah.
Interactive, no? As I like expected. So interactive sessions, people are actually like what I understand is that they are he also wants to speak, in between.
No, it's important. See, actually, a physical would have been much better, because people are there in the breakout rooms, they're not even opening the screens.
It's going to finish now in 4 seconds. 3,
Yeah,
2,
sure,
1. Class. Okay, all rooms will close in 53 seconds.
Sure.
I think Rakesh, the breakout rooms are closed. Now time
Yeah,
is
yeah,
up.
it will close in 26 seconds. It's just on process.
Okay. Great, very well organized. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nirlab, thank you very much for attending.
Wonderful experience, sir. Great going. Taken some shots also.
So who is the team leader from your group, Nirlab?
All are here.
From our group 2, I think Rajesh Singh will present.
Rajesh, okay.
There are total 3 groups, right, Rakesh?
Correct. 1, 2, and 3. Room 1, room 2, and room 3.
Room 3, Fahim will present.
Okay, and room 1?
Room 1, Godwin will present.
Okay.
Rakesh, all are
Yeah,
here
yeah,
now?
all are here.
Okay, now let's hear from group 2 first. Let's give the shining star the first opportunity. So who is the leader for group 2?
Yeah, I will just a minute.
Perfect.
So there was some confusion about whether we have to talk in line with the picture, because that's where the group started discussing first. But then I think you joined and you guided us. So the observations what we have is when the customer enters, there is no one to greet in the coffee shop. The coffee shop looks very busy and it looks very, very crowded. And there is no privacy. I think the tables are kept together close to each other. So it's too congested. There is no theme in this coffee shop. Like it looks very shabby if you look at based on what the picture what we saw. So the menu should be displayed and the price list should be clearly shown. We can't really make out. We just added some certain point like accessibility and parking. It should be there to enhance the good customer satisfaction. Also, we stick to the picture, and one of the participant in my group observed that there was a Dalda advertisement near coffee shop in the photo what you have displayed. I was quite surprised that she actually noticed that. And there was no one to assist the customers when they walk in. So somebody should be there to assist the customers. Yeah. And in the photo, again, we stick to the photo what was shared. Some customers seem to be discussing, and this could be for the bad service or something, looking at the picture. So just to make sure that customers are attended and they are given proper guidance as where to sit, etc. And just to make sure that they feel very comfortable. And Nirlep also suggested that good music should be played depending upon the kind of customers, like and I told him that I like Bhangra.
Okay.
I think that's it from my side. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone in group 2 want to add to what Mr. Rakesh has said just now? You want to add, or he has covered everything?
Yeah, just I want to add something here. Actually, I just entered in the room very lately. So one thing I observed, like once you get inside any coffee shop, no? So then there should be some kind of, that combo deal or offer. That's where people get attracted. If you buy two, get one free coffee or something like that. So those
Papa
things
John's.
should be displayed. Yeah,
Yeah.
is one point I observed.
Devki, my opinion is you have been in Middle East for quite a long period. You get spoiled by this. But excellent. Guys, give a big round of applause to Rajesh for the wonderful presentation from Group 2. Now we move to
Thank you
Group
to
1.
everyone, Group 1, Group 2. Yeah.
Group 1. Who is going to present from Group 1?
I think it's got
Sir, I'll be
Yeah,
presenting
Godwin.
on behalf of group 1.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. So now we notice the following on behalf of the picture and on the expectation of the pictures. Now, the first thing which has to be very clear is the expectations that a customer enters on seeing a shop. Now, we noticed that there were no big dashboards displaying the prices and what the prices and what items are available. So customers are not really in a position to anticipate what are the products they can expect from there. And another thing on the basis of what I noticed personally is that the number of people who are sitting in a table are around 10, and you do not see tables with 1 or 2 people. Now, there is always a possibility that it can be a big coffee shop and it's only a small mug shop, but then you must have a facility to accommodate different groups of people. Now, it's not necessary that people come in drops of 10 to 15. There can be a few people as well who come in.
Yeah.
And as even the second team noticed that it was very congested and it is not easy for a private discussion. It is not a conducive environment for a private discussion. Now, it's possible that if that was somewhere in Mumbai where real estate is very expensive, you cannot have much of space, but they should, irrespective of the circumstances, have a situation where you have more space and people can interact better. And also another thing is in the images, there were no waiters which were noticed. Now, it could also be possible that it is a self-service as well. But even it's very important that being a coffee shop, when you have a lot of customized products, you have waiters who are well aware of what kind of products are being offered. So it becomes easy to explain to the customer what it is, because often customers put up a lot of questions and it is very embarrassing for the coffee shop if the waiter is not in a position to explain to them what services are offered by them.
Good.
And then even the ambience in general, music and through an ambience which a coffee shop is expected in order to ensure that people are happy there. That's also very important. So these are the observations that we came up as a group.
Excellent. Wonderful. Did you notice any positive things? What about the beautiful girls? You did not notice those guys? Come on, Godwin. Okay. Now, excellent presentation. Now we move to Group 1.
Yeah, good evening, one and everyone, all. So jumping straight to the customer, because the key objective where we need to focus on the improving the customer experience, attracting more and more customers. So to be straightforward, like it should have an attractive menu along with the option to meet the requirement and need of different age group, which like the new generation love to have QR codes rather than just a menu which is printed, and which should cater to there should be options for both. Agree with the previous two also, the space and table arrangement to avoid congestion, and there should be places where the customer can easily come in, and there should be a better service being provided. The third is the better display and appealing outer entrance with eye-catching, like some neon signs, some banners, so that everyone can know, okay, there is a coffee shop being there and providing this thing. There should be hygiene and availability of washrooms. The reason being, when anyone goes to the customers to coffee shop, they tend to spend more time over there. So there should be washroom on the top of that. In order to attract more customers, there should be some free Wi-Fi access to all customers, because that actually attracts many more to spend more time. The more they sit there, the more number of tea, coffee, and ordering they can do. There should be some cross-selling or cross selling a menu, it should not be limited to tea, coffee, because if different age group children are coming, then there should be sweets, donuts, other items
Yes.
can be
Right.
be part to, so that it boosts to the revenue as well.
Okay.
There should be some better interior and lighting with some light music, which adds to the ambience and things. There should be easy and multiple payment options, because now everyone doesn't carry cash with
Wonderful.
them. Card.
Wonderful.
So these are the inputs, like to have better.
Wonderful. 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 Excellent.
And thanks to
Okay,
the team
now-
member who had contributed most of the point. I just presented it.
No, it's a teamwork. As I said, design thinking is about human relationship. We are all social animals. Unless we have the interaction, there's no point in attending a design thinking workshop. Now, did you all notice one thing? You all of you entered the breakout rooms. I quickly peeped in, peeped out, stepped in, stepped out. And I noticed something. We started, ideas, what are the touch points, how we could enhance the customer. But did you think about who's going to maintain the time? Who's going to present the thing? So it's extra. Yeah, Ankit, you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to just add one point which came to my mind. I think one more thing which can be added for attracting customers, something is discount cards, which is now going in a lot of shops and everything, which is really good if that discount card can be implemented, and the more and more customers return back to the same particular organization. And
Customer
the point,
royalty program.
program, the customer loyalty program, I think that can be added. It's just a suggestion
Exactly.
from.
Yeah. Thank you. So did you see that we went straight into the problem, and then, okay, we are running short of time. Come on, guys, quickly do the thing. That's what we have done. Now, excellent points told by them. But remember the first statement, what I said. Life is simple. It's not easy. In life, we tend to complicate things. Keep it as simple as possible. Right from the time you you're at the doorstep of the coffee shop to the time you're out. That's it. What are the key touch points? Okay, let's see how it goes. So there is now, rather than so I would like all of you to actually think about it from a real life perspective. How, okay, I need to share. Just a second. Because customer journey is extremely important. Now, this is something you can apply in your regular day-to-day life. Keep it simple. Activity. What is the activity? You enter the coffee day, you have a seat, you buy the coffee, you wait for coffee and go back to your seat. That's it. These are the activities. What do? You look around, you walk around the cafe. You then stand in the queue to be served. You wait at the counter and sit at the table. And what are the touch points? This is the key thing. What are the touch points? Someone said, right? I think it's Fahim. He said that you need to have attractive posters. Yes, there it is. What is it that attracts to you to this coffee shop, not the coffee shop which is across the road? Someone mentioned also, right? The space within the coffee shop, the price display, as you guys have mentioned, the counter and the seat. So these are the key touch points where it can be enhanced. What are the thoughts? Am I entering the right place? Or am I at the wrong place? As soon as he enters, the first impression is the best impression. Can I find a seat? How much is it? How long do I have to wait before you finally enjoy your coffee? So if I have to map the customer's journey, this is how I would do it. What are the improvements? The value-added service, what is given, the availability status, the multiple payment facilities someone already mentioned. Waiting time is interesting. Probably if there's a cricket match, they should display that so that, it makes the time much interesting and reinforcing the experience. Now, if we have to make this into various activities, then you can actually, you can actually plot their feelings. Okay, it has come down here, where in terms of seat, I had to take a lot of time. And again, I had to wait for the coffee. And then it is a fantastic experience after having the coffee. So ladies and gentlemen, the point I'm trying to make here is, are you mapping your customer journey? These are simple things which we ignore. So find the key touch points and see what measures I can take to enhance my customer experience. Okay. Now, let me talk about, this is one model of a sailboat. What we have an island, you need to ask yourself the team objectives or the vision. What are the risks? What are the risks that we might encounter? And what are the things which slows down on the journey? So whenever you do your design brief, these are the things to be kept in mind. And what is it which helps in reaching the objectives? What is the win factor? So this is one of the analysis which can be done. And the decider. Now here, once as a group, you do a design thinking, you need to ask yourself, what is it that we will continue doing it? What is it I'm going to stop? Have we missed something? And what we want to try out. So these are the various, this is the one which actually makes you to take a decision. Then in the customer pyramid, if you have to put a pyramid of the customer experience, you have to furnish the information, make the customer knowledgeable. That's where you provide your USP, your differentiating factor. What is the information the customer will use? Solve the problem. Whatever he asks for it, you just need to solve the problem. So that's important. And then resolve their wants. Resolve what now? There is a difference between need and wants. Need is more an explicit one, but wants are inherent one. So resolve the wants when they ask for it, and then provide what they need even without asking. Provide what they need. Now, I want to tell you a small story on this. Like in India, we had a room air conditioner, which is outside a split thing. And during a certain period of time, we have pigeons coming over there and, it does poops on that and then it gets spoiled and everything. Then one serviceman said, look, we can solve it. If you have a copper insulation inside, it will be solved. But in this heat, how can I do it? He said, no problem. I will give you one which you can use till that time, till I get it repaired. Trust me, friends. Anytime there's a problem, even though it's expensive, I still go for him. Because the experience he has created for me, more than what the requirement, that's what leaves a lasting value in the minds of the customer. Make things better, easier, and attractive for the customers. So this is the customer pyramid. Now, we spoke about persona, right? So the customer needs, but persona is very important. In person, what is the profile? What is the lifestyle of the person? What characteristics does he possess? What are his behavioral aspects? This is very important to know, because your design brief should be in line with the customer expectations. If you don't know the person as such, now it's extremely important. And what are his goals and ambitions? What are his fears and challenges? And what are his needs and influences? Is there something I can do to? So a persona can be a single people or a group of people. It could be like all the chartered accountants can be grouped as one persona. That could also be the case. Or it could be an individual, it could be a company. So this persona is extremely important before you solve the customer problems. And then you define the needs. Who is your client or the target audience? And then the next one is what. what design thinking client is thinking of. What is it thinking of? What we can do differently? When? These are the 5 W's which has to be thought about. When will the design be needed? For how long? Project timescales? Where? Where will it be used? And then why? Why does the client think a design solution? How will it be implemented? Budget, campaign. So these are the questions which we need to ask. Now, there's another thing called the WH model, which is, I'm going to quickly because I'm running short of time. So I will just, WH model is called. You can apply this in your regular day-to-day life. As most of you know, it's what, who, why, where, when. So here you need to ask yourself, this looks very simple, but trust me, it needs some thought process. This 5H model is necessary to understand the problem. What is the problem? Who is involved? Why is the problem important? Where does the problem occur? When did the problem begin? And how could the problem be an opportunity? As I said, design thinkers, there's no problems, it's only opportunities. So these are the models you need to develop to understand the customer. Now, what do we know? Who is affected by the situation? I will not go through each of the points, but this is just to give you an idea about what are the things to be taken care when we are talking about a customer, because that's very important. You know, we need to have this, and then only we ensure that we have not left anything to chance. We cover all the areas which are required. Now, we empathize with the customer, we define what the problem is, and then we have a model whereby we understand the problem, we define the problem. The next stage is ideation. Ideation, as I said, now generally most of us, have meetings, right? Do you think those meetings are productive? This is a very important part in design thinking. More often than not, ideation process fail. Why? Because the problems are poorly framed. The usual suspects are the usual things. Now, some people, they come to the meeting, they just speak for the sake of it without really understanding what is the value addition they are giving to the existing problem. And you also need to have a group of people with different skill sets and positive. Now, ideation sessions turn into critics. You remember the 4 different biases I've mentioned? So these ideation sessions should not turn into that, and brainstorming and the organization is going to kill the ideas. So these are the various reasons. Now I can talk about this for 15 minutes, but unfortunately, I think I have only about 10 minutes before the Q&A. Now, call for action. To have a right ideation, you need to have the right people, which should be small group, diverse, and depoliticized. Remember, one of the objectives of design thinking is to ensure that there's no bias or there's no hidden agendas behind it. Everyone, whenever they do, they have some. So it should be plain, simple, people who are willing to contribute to the success. Now, you need to have the right design brief or the right challenge and the right mindset, of course. If you don't have this, then the other 2 steps would not feel any good. And you need to have the right empathy, which is the persona and empathy map, and the right follow-up to ensure that your solution fits in what the customer wants, and right facilitation, decisive and pacing and clarity, and the right stimulus. This is very important. Now, I wish I had additional time. I'd have asked you some trigger questions. Yeah. So ask the right questions, trigger questions, which will enable the customer to speak out what his actual problem is. So trigger questions is extremely important. And right inspiration, that's where you have seen the customer journey, right? What we have done, create a context map and an opportunity map. Now we have something called the affinity map, where the people are divided into different groups, and all the ideas which are generated Now, if I give 5 ideas, now it's not what we generally do. If I give 5 ideas, you say, oh, okay, 1 to 4 is useless. 5th idea, we could consider. But remember, within those 5 ideas, there could be some small portion which could be taken. So what we need to do is we need to post that into different categories and then write down the ideas which follow it. So this is the affinity map. And now this is something called, try this out, even at your workplace. It's called the dominant or the contra logic thinking, where let's take an example. Suppose I'm planning to have a restaurant, right? So then I have the physical flows, information flows, and the financial flows. This just as an example to explain the concept of dominant and contra logic. So we have the dominant logic and the contra logic. Now, in the dominant logic, what generally it says is, I need a fresh food from the nearby market. Yeah, which is the common, and I need to have the seasonal ingredients, high-end retail store, food prepared to order, mostly low-wage workers, food consumed on premises. Yeah, this is the dominant logic. Now, can someone tell me the contra logic? Can someone start typing in what do you think should be the contra logic? What should be the contra logic for this? Okay, it could be. Yeah, go ahead, please.
It could be a centralized kitchen and with small shops rather than having a large outlets at prime locations to save on cost and delivery, a faster delivery.
Exactly. So, okay, any other ideas? Now, for each of the points, fresh food. Why do I need a fresh food from a nearby market? Why can't I look at the economy of scales? Why don't I get it from a distant shop where I can get and optimize this thing and have a regular flow? Why nearby market? Seasonal ingredients. Now, if I use a seasonal ingredients, how do I distinguish from my competitors? Everyone is doing the same thing. Now, when a customer comes in, he would like to have a full menu, not just a standard one. So what are the seasonal ingredients to be used? Now, location, high-end retail store. No, why high-end retail? Why can't I go for mass numbers? Food prepared to order. Why can't I have ingredients ready? Or why can't I make it pre-packed if I know that a certain item? So these are all. Now, why do I need mostly low-cost wages? Why can't I have 3-4 chefs who are highly paid, but they make a big difference to the restaurant? So these are all the contra logic. So, and food consumed on premises. Now, there are actually some restaurants who actually charge you based on the time you spend in the restaurant, not on what you order, the time you actually spend. So these are all contra logic points which you need to think. Then we have the information flows. Customer reads, review, advertise, 60%, food management. Now, the same thing, you can have the contra logic for it. In customer reads the review, now, technology is changing. And then you can think of a different way where different social media handles and, it could be advertising instead of local media. Why can't it be on our Facebook? It's then 60% reservation, 40% walk-in. Why can't I have 100% reservation? So these are all contra views. It's very important to understand the whole concept behind it, that whenever you do a design thinking, you need to think that you need to also have you remember the first point I said, challenge rebelliously. Don't accept the things as they are. Don't be in the comfort zone. Step outside the comfort zone and create the experience to the customer. And pay for food supplies, financial flows. Now, why he has to pay? Why can't I have an account? So it's easy. So he transfers the money at a later stage. Customers pay after dining. No, don't pay after dining. Do it sometime later. Pay for food and not for. So these are something just to illustrate the difference between dominant and a contra logic. Now, when we talk about customer, remember the cost of retaining a customer, the cost of getting a new customer when compared to an existing customer is 7 times. I repeat myself, the cost of getting a new customer is 7 times more than retaining the existing customer. So ask yourself this question, what is that solution which I provide so that the customer cannot go away? What is that experience I actually create for him? Now, let me tell you something on the lighter side. I have AirPods. Now, for some reason, they don't like my ears, they don't function. Now, the one I'm using currently, it's called Nothing. The company name is Nothing, and it works perfectly well. So they are products which are very successful, but the reason they are not coming out to the market is they are not giving that customer experience. Now, let's say that you're making a design brief for a customer. This is a very important one. You have a selection matrix. You have 4 quadrants. One is impossible to implement. The second is a normal idea. Yeah, original idea and easy to implement. Right? Now, in the first quadrant, let's say that it's impossible to implement normal idea. Will it work? No, it's just a normal idea, run of the mill. You cannot have a differentiating factor. If it is easy to implement a normal idea, where is your greatness? Anyone can do it. That's not the thing. And then, wow, which is an original idea and easy to implement. Now, in this case, what happens is, if it is very easy to implement, every Tom, Dick, and Harry can do it, right? Where is your specialization? Where is it? A design consultant thinker coming and doing the thing. It's anyone can do it. If you do it, probably in a month's time, you'll have another competitor coming and do it, take it much better than what you have done at an optimized cost. So, ladies and gentlemen, the key criteria is the how. The 4th quadrant, this is where it's an original idea, and you have the patents. It's not very easy to implement. It's impossible to implement. And that is where comes the value addition from a consultant. The question I would like to ask each one of you, ask yourself, what is that original idea that I have? And it's not something which can be easily replicated. It is your specialty. It's not easily. So the whole idea should be to focus on this 4 quadrant where you create a differentiating factor with your others. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen, from my time. But let me tell you a small story. Amazon, they actually lost 5,000 billion or something like that in the Indian market. But still, they're investing an additional $1 billion in the Indian market because they have confidence that their experience can change the market dynamics. There's another example also which I can give you is that, Ankit, can you tell me how much time I have? 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, you have 2 minutes. After that, we have the Q&A session. Yeah.
Right. And there is in one place, there were people who are going to offices, and one guy wants to increase the sales of the milkshakes. Now, it was noticed that the sales of milkshake, they wanted to increase it tremendously. So they employed a design thinker to do it. So he came and he observed that only morning 8 o'clock time, the sales of a particular brand is selling more. Then when he asked them questions and found out, it's actually a one drive to go to the main city. And this particular milkshake takes longer time. They can't eat a donut or something. They would like to keep their hands busy, right? One hand on the steering, the other hand needs to be busy. So if a donut, the crumbs and all that, or they can't have a banana, it will be over in no time. So they came up with an innovative thing, which a milkshake, which is much thicker. You cannot finish it in half an hour's time, and the sales have gone double. Simple things. The problem lies in simplicity. Every problem can be solved in a simple way, but it needs a concrete effort to find the solution. So, ladies and gentlemen, I must say that, okay, now we move to the Q&A, Rajesh.
Yeah, no problem. So if any member want to ask any question to Singaraju, they can unmute themselves and ask the question, please.
Guys, if you don't ask, probably you didn't understand what I spoke, or so please ask any question, no problem.
This is Radha, sir. I have
Yeah,
one
Radha,
question.
go ahead.
What is the role of innovation in the design thinking?
Excellent, excellent. Now, see, when we talk about design thinking, it's about a human touch, how you're making difference to people. Now, I will give you an example of, most of you might have seen, right? Apple, when they introduced we no need to use a stylus. They didn't talk about technology. They didn't talk about anything. What they explained is, with your fingertip, you can use your God-given finger to move those screens. So they had the human touch. So which is important? Now, technology, data, and all that, it's great. But it's important that you have the human touch. And even if you use a lot of technology, don't talk about technology. Talk in terms of what is in it for the customer. Have that human touch and see the difference it makes. Radha, did I answer you?
Yes, got it.
I think the next question is from Mr. Venkateshwaran. Can the concept of design thinking be applicable for any age? For instance, can it be applied to KG students?
Yeah. Thank you, Venkat, and for the question. Now, as I said in the starting of the presentation, design thinking is a way of life. It is not a concept to be put on this thing, or it is a way of thinking how it can be applied to anyone, anywhere. But it's a thought process. It's a way of life. It makes you, there's going to be a huge sea change when you use the design thinking. So any problem? Now, I would have loved to have a business case, but okay, due to paucity of time, probably we'll have it at a separate session. Whoever is interested, we can study the business cases and see what are the touch points where improvement can be made to enhance the customer experience. Yeah, next question.
This is Gopi Krishnan here.
Yeah, Gopi.
I just want to ask you one question. In the touch points, the quality of the coffee and the taste of the coffee, what is the relevance of it? The touch point of
Okay. Now, thank you. The thing is, when you as Gopi enter a coffee shop, yeah, you will have different experience at different points of time, right? It's not the same experience. Now, as Fahim said, I would love to see, I would go into a thing which has a wonderful poster in it. Yeah, so that's a touch point that attracts you to that. Now, why is it that you're going to that particular workshop, that particular coffee shop? Is that you have certain experiences at various stages. How it works seamlessly. Now, suppose you're someone who don't carry your wallet anytime. You only just carry your mobile and tap and this thing. And or probably you could be someone who would like to look at the price list, know what you're buying for, not know what you're paying for, right? These are your touch points. Now, how they will enhance the experience at those places is what the difference they make to you. So touch points, very important. Gopi, did I answer your question?
Yeah, what I was looking for is that how important is, because when we had this exercise of touch points of a coffee shop, even I was not able to give a suggestion that taste of the coffee and the quality of the coffee is also a touch point.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Exactly.
Okay, yes, okay, that's what I was looking for, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Anyone else would like to ask any question? I think they're also worried because Raju is Toastmaster. He might ask more questions to them.
No. Guys,
Any
we are
other
all
question?
learning. We are all learning together. We are all learning together.
So I have a very small question to ask you.
Okay.
So generally the starting point you said is ask. Many of the people that take an example, when we are working in office, people itself are not comfortable in asking, or there are people who are not comfortable in replying to you. What is your suggestion in that respect?
Okay. I will give a big answer for your small question.
Thank you so much.
Now, it's very simple. It's very simple. Suppose there's Rajesh, okay? Now, he doesn't talk to anyone and he is now we are working in the same team. Now, I think it's an opportunity in disguise for me because I need to exercise my skills. I need to ask him the key questions whereby I know completely about Rajesh. So thank God for the, what can I say, for the, if people are not talking or anything, it's the better it is for you because you can exercise your skills as a design thinker in asking and finding out. And trust me, this is a human philosophy which worked to me all the time. Once you break the barrier once, they will be open to you all the times. Try it out. You can tell me later whether you're successful or not. It is the initial point where people are a bit hesitant. Once you enter into their zone, they will be all out for you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? I think we can take one or two more questions before we go to the next agenda point.
Yeah, Singaraju, one of the points you was highlighted like to depoliticize, and in many cases, if the agenda is of a higher importance or something, it happens many times because it is beyond your control, and there will be different stakeholder coming in with different objective in mind, and it happens practically. So how to do that? How to handle that situation where we can depoliticize and
Okay.
make it, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. That's a wonderful question. Now, imagine that when you select a team, now it's not Raju is a design thinker, he's going to go and make the design brief. No. In design thinking, you have a group of people, 3 or 4, as I said, right? You have 3 or 4 people who don't have any. Now, trust me, 95% of the people, whenever they say something, is either biased or there's a political agenda behind it. So the process of design thinking is to unveil all that and ensure that it is a collective decision. Now, let's say, for example, Fahim has a problem. Myself, Devaki, and Ankit, we are the team. So we come to you, we discuss with you in an open way, and we define the problem. We solve we empathize with you, know the problem. We try to find out your inherent needs also, not just what you're saying, what you're thinking also. We try to understand the whole thing. And when you do an ideation, when you go through that process, the entire clutter is gone. So that is where you come with a solution which is good for the organization. Now, ask yourself, how many times you have an ideation session in organizations? People think that it's only for the top level. No, you create one ideation group. And it's important that when you discuss, you improve your communication skills and you know what the inherent needs are. Or just ask them, what do you think is a solution? These are the trigger questions. What do you think should be the solution? Now, I tell for my team, whenever you come with a problem, come with 3 solutions. So this will trigger the thought process. Not only look for problems, but also look for solutions. So Fahim, have I answered your question?
Yeah, to a greater extent, yes.
Yeah. So I think thank you so much, everyone, for your questions. I now invite CA Vignesh Kalyanaraman.
Now, before you finish, Rajesh,
Yeah.
just 1 second. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, design thinking is a way of life. Now, each one of you has the potential to be in that 2%. It's just that you need to be aware of it, have the positive mindset, which you already have by attending the session. And I'm sure we will see each one of you in the top 2 successful % and make difference to the organization where you're working. And long before after you're gone, you will still be remembered as a person who made a difference to the organization. Thank you very much again to the ExCom for giving me this opportunity. And I would like to just share for one last time. These are my contact details. So those of you who want to get in touch with me can do so. Thank you, Ankit, for the opportunity given to me to share my experience and knowledge with the fellow members. Thank you. Over to you, Rajesh.
All right. Thank you so much, CA Singaraju. So I invite CA Vignesh Kalyanaraman to propose vote of thanks.
Thanks, Rajesh. I was actually going to say what you just said, Singaraju. Design thinking is a way of life, but so I think I was thinking in the right way. So what a wonderful interactive session and thought-provoking session we've all just had. I hope it was a great learning experience for each one of us. It was great also to see so many members who had the design thinker traits in them when we saw those responses that we received to those questions that were there initially. For someone who has gone through this session or has gone through design thinking earlier, I must tell you that I can imagine the amount of thought and it's a great food for thought. Thank you, CA Singaraju, for this amazing session. I'm sure each of the participants learned a lot, and we will have more design thinkers within the chapter very soon. We learned what design thinking is about, the trait maps, action plan for design thinking, which all helped us to understand we can work what we can do to make better decision makings as a way of life. The case study, I'm sure, was a innovation which helped us think together better and brainstorm before we action. We thank all our sponsors, Aster, Morrison Qatar, Creston SVP, Moore Qatar, Quantum Global Solutions, and Capitaire. Our sponsors are key in the chapter bringing these amazing sessions to you. Thank you, members, for your constant support. This keeps us going and strive to deliver the best. Thanks to the ExCom who played their specific roles and contributed to the session, making the session a success. We thank you all once again for joining us this evening, and we look forward to having many more such sessions. It was also encouraging to have the speakers' sessions being conducted by our fellow member, CA Singaraju this time. We would encourage more such participation from our fellow members. We can all only grow and become better by sharing knowledge. So thanks all once again. Have a good evening, and thank you once all.
Thank you, everyone, and Merry Christmas in advance to everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Excellent
Thank
session.
you. Thank you, everyone.
Wonderful session.
Excellent.
So, Devki, did it trigger a thought in your mind?
Yes, sir. I was about to ask this design thinking, how to, convince that. You said that this is for customer, it can be anyone, your wife. This is what that particular, that point you touched upon. So I was about to ask that how to, design things so that I can convince my wife every time, whenever she has.
He has to take this question offline.
Now, design.
This is where it is original idea with difficulty, very difficult to achieve. How to convince wife?
Exactly.
Now, this is something you can apply on your neighbor's wife.
The next day we'll be out of the country.
Yeah. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you, Rakesh.
Thank you.